Okay, so when you're looking and judging the udder, you want, first thing you're going to look at, and the most important thing on the Dairy Cow Unified Scorecard is udder depth. So when you're judging udder depth, you judge udder depth relative to the hock. So on a young cow like this cow, you're going to want that udder to be placed above the hock. And like on an older cow that would be like, say, 5 years old, the udder could be low or hanging around the hock, and you wouldn't discredit her for having that. So next you're going to want to look at rear udder height. So rear udder height is measured from the bottom of the vulva to the top of the rear udder. So the higher your rear udder is, the better it is, because that means the cow has the ability to hold more milk in her. So you also want that rear udder to be very wide where it attaches. When you're looking at the udder, you want a fore udder that is long and it blends smoothly into the body wall. So you want this to come as far up into the body as you can, and you want it to blend very smoothly. You also want the fore udder to be kind of well balanced, and you don't want it to be too bulgy, as that happens a lot. Next, when you're looking at the teats, you want the teats to be placed squarely beneath the cow. So you can see you want them placed squarely beneath each quarter, and you want them to point down towards the ground. So this cow has pretty good teat placement, and you want that udder floor to be very level. You want it to be flat, and you don't want it to hook up or hook down, because that makes it hard for the milker to attach.
Well, the first thing you want to look for in dairy strength is the ribs. You want to be able to fit at least 2.5 to 3 fingers in between each rib. They should be clearly defined and have a good amount of depth where the skin's going between each rib. The next part you want to look at is the chest floor. You want it to be wide in the chest to allow for more capacity in the front end. Moving forward, you want to look at the barrel. You want it to be deeper and not as close to the ribs as possible. You want to allow for more capacity of vital organs. The next part, you want the withers to be sharper over the top. They shouldn't be as flat and similar to this cow where it's more flat. You want them to be more pointed. And then the final part is the skin should be loose to allow for growth. Shouldn't be very tight to the body.
When judging a cow's rear feet and legs, the most important thing you should consider is her movement. Her stride should be long and fluid as she walks. Ideally, her rear feet will replace her front feet as she's walking. When looking at a cow from the side, you should look at the hock, which is the second most important feature in this category. She should have a moderate set to her hocks, as well as avoid sickling the hock when viewed from behind. The moderate set to her hock, as opposed to having her leg posty or sickled, helps prevent stress on tendons and muscles, as well as swelling in the joints. You should deduct up to 2 points if she lacks flexibility in her hocks, which can be distinguished by swelling. When viewing her from behind, she should have a wide stance to her feet and have them placed squarely beneath her. When looking at her feet, she should have a moderate to steep angle to her foot to help with well-rounded toes. The steep angle requires less trimming and overall maintenance of the hoof. As you look towards her rump, her thurl should be evenly spaced between her hooks and pins. Finally, she should have a strong set of pasterns that hold her at a moderate upright angle. The strong and flexible pasterns allow for cushion and give in her foot, whereas a weak set of pasterns will add pressure onto her joints.
When judging the frame of the cow, the rump should be long and wide. The pin bones should be set more than the hip bones. And the withers should be set evenly between the two. The back and the horn should be straight across. And when scoring the frame, it only accounts for 15% of the total score, but it's still a crucial part of the cow. When looking at the front legs, they should not be too close together. This is a good set where it's nice and apart, good set of front feet.
Now to go over things we like about this cow.
So starting out with her udder, I'm gonna you can see her rear teats. Her teats are placed very squarely beneath each quarter and they're pointed straight towards the ground, which is really good. We also like that each quarter is very balanced. She looks like there's not one quarter that's bigger than the others, and she's got a very flat bottom to the udder, so she doesn't hook up or hook down at all.
Moving into dairy strength, she has pretty good spring of her rib, and she's pretty good at her depth of barrel, where it's not too close to the bottom of her ribs. And she's very wide in the chest, and she's a very powerful heifer overall.
For her rear feet and legs, she has a nice steep angle to her hoof, as well as a desirable set to her hock.
So now we're going to go over things we'd like to change about this cow. So she is a young cow, but I'd like to see her have a little more bloom and capacity to her udder. She just doesn't have a lot of bloom, especially on this afternoon. So I'd like to see that be a little more full. And then when you're looking at her fore udder, we'd also like to see her fore udder a little more stretched out, blend into this body a little bit more right in that area. So that's just two things that I'd like to change about her udder.
She also carries a little too much excess flesh. Restricts the depth of her rib. She's not as incurving of the thigh, and her tail head does not sit between her pins very comfortably.
Thanks for watching our video.